record on this computer. All right, so today we are going to work on some of the behind the scenes JavaScript. And last week we used a cookie to get the character information. So remember, if we're Harry Potter and we're 11 years old, we send our application in and we get the congratulations, you've been accepted to Hogwarts. And in order to know the name, to know their age, and whether they're accepted or not, we used a cookie to store that information. And cookies are good for short term, but cookies also have limited space. I'm not sure how much it is. Let's actually just find out. How much space is in a cookie? Cookie HTML. And then we'll talk about some alternatives. I was asked about local storage. What's that?
Yeah, it provided very limited storage. That's what I was reading. A minimum of 4096 bytes.
4 kilobytes. So about 4,000 characters, which will probably hold enough for our character information. But we could have multiple cookies, and we could do that. But we'll actually we have a different cookie for name and age and gender right now, so that's not really a problem. But we don't want to really proliferate. The best thing that cookies are used for is keeping track of a session between the client and the server. So typically a cookie will just store a session ID, some sort of token that says tie this browser session that has this cookie to this account or to this this player in the game, is what we do. And it would have all the character information, and it would be stored on the server side and passed to the client as needed. Well, that's one strategy, to have server-side session storage and use a cookie with a unique identifier to coordinate the two and fetch it as needed. Another thing to do is to have hidden information. For instance, we could pass around an input type hidden, and this was a very early hack, right? I would have input type equals hidden. If I can type, which I can't. And what this is this is a form element that's not displayed, and I could have, player name, or name is player name, right? Now it's going to conflict with the existing player name or whatever. But anyway, what I've done is I've created another form, and what we're going to do is also use local storage to implement the same character information, so that we can go through the application process, we can get the information from the cookie, and then we can store it in local storage. Now, local storage is something that was only added to a browser, in the last 10 years. When was local storage added to, we'll just say added to Firefox to make it, that'll probably be, well, let's be more specific. Local storage, okay, it's not going to give us a history. Oh, here we go, RFC 2011, so about 9 years since local storage has been around. For a long time, we just held it in the server side or in the client side. Now, another way we could do this is we could actually have elements, and this is something a lot of sites did, is they would have separate frames, and one frame would have all this information into the DOM that's not displayed, and then you could use DOM manipulation to get that value. That works very similar to using hidden forms, but we don't really need to do that because of the ability to do AJAX or XML HTTP XHR requests. So that's another thing that we'll explore coming up. But today what we're going to do is look at local storage. So I've got up a couple of examples. We don't want session store, we want local storage. So local storage is pretty easy. We just use local storage to get it. So let's go ahead, and what we've got is we've got this character page that I created outside of our main flow, right? So we've got here character name, age, and gender. And this is something else I want to implement, is to have gender be a drop down of male or female. And then we also need to check if someone is a wizard or a muggle, which is something else that that is needed in the application process, because we want to reject muggles from attending Hogwarts. So let's go ahead and take what I've got on this character page and change it to the apply page after we've added the local storage. So you can see here, this is more of a asking questions. What is your name? Are you male or female? We'll create this as a drop down for male and female. And that's the first thing we'll do. We'll take character gender, we'll make it a drop down. So on the apply.html page, and we've got all this JavaScript we need to clean up here. Are you male or female? We'll just drop that in there. Now, I also want to introduce a couple of tags. One is the label tag, as opposed to just putting stuff in a paragraph. The label tag is a label for an individual element, in this case, a select element. The select is the drop down. So what I'm going to do is save that, and we'll see this refresh here. Now gender is a drop down. Someone can't mistype on this. So let me take a look here. We have three options. We have a blank option, just so that when it comes up, it's not pre-selected with either male or female. And then we have an option with a value of male and another option with a value of female that contains the text. Now, I can also change this to wizard and witch in the text. That's the text that will be displayed. So a gender, wizard, or witch, we can keep that. But the value that will be sent when the form is submitted is male or female. It's a good practice to just go ahead and keep your value and your text in the option the same. So we'll change that back. And then let's also go ahead and add labels for our other fields, for name and so forth. This helps with accessibility, and it can also help with display. So what is your name? We want to go ahead and move that back to here. And this and that's the other thing I want to do, is change it from player to character in the content. So let's go ahead and do character name. And we need our paragraph heading. This just gives us a vertical spacing. All right, so we've got a label, we've got an input for character name. Let's go ahead and refactor that, because the player name, that might be Aaron Evans, the character might be Harry Potter. Character gender, we've got male and female, and let's also do a label for this one. So how old are you? Label 4, and we take the name of the input field, player age, but we're going to change that to character age. For character age. There we go. Now we've got labels for each of these. And it looks like we've got some style on our button that I don't know if we need. So let's go ahead and remove that extra style. And we've got the on-click event. So what this does is, JavaScript is an event loop in essence. And that's one thing that makes it challenging, that rather than everything is procedural and linear, this happens after that. While that might happen in an individual function, the main JavaScript event loop is looking for an event, like an on click, right? We have several different things that we can click on or type in or change the focus to within our application. JavaScript can't do those linearly, so it listens for events on each of these things. Let's go ahead and take a look at how we can detect all these events. So we have the on click for window apply. Which is the application. Remember, our form was named apply and our function was named apply. So let's change our function to send application, which is I think what I had before. Oh, I need my parentheses to call the function. All right, and then we've got we'll just make this send application to Hogwarts. Now we've just changed all of our player name, player, etc. So here's what we're going to do is we're going to replace all versions of, oops, that's not what I wanted. I want to, let's go to replace here. So I want to replace player name wherever it is with a character name. And I'll go ahead and go through here. Replace the first one, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and those alerts are going off. All right, and I think we've got all of them. Yeah, okay, so then we want to do, we can probably do player underscore everything to character underscore everything. So let's go ahead and replace if character age, if player age, character to gender, just making sure I'm getting everything. All right. So now let's go ahead and run through this one more time. Okay, what is your name? Now what I want to do is I want to add some events. And what I'll do is I'll add a console log for each of these events. So for the character name, this input field, I'm going to say on change equals quote update character. Here, let's just do update gender here. And the same thing for character name. Yeah, let's just start with update character. We'll use one function for all of these ones for now. And the same thing here. I don't want this on the label. I want this on age though. And then we're also going to add this other thing. Are you a wizard or are you a muggle? Oops, that goes below or above our submit button. All right, so we've got what do we want? We want a a text here, right? And we're not going to get too much into detail about mudbloods and whatnot. We'll create another paragraph for this section, which is really just formatting of the buttons. All right, let's see what we've got. I'll flip back over. That looks okay. Maybe we would actually move these in line. Into the text, okay, and then I guess we'd make those wizard, muggle. And let me take a minute to look at this, all right? And for consistency, rather than calling this value wizard, what I want to do is I want to call it, oh, we've got character status. We're going to skip that default value. We've got a label, are you a wizard or muggle? Oh, we've got a typo here. And that's really not very legible. So I'm actually going to move this back and oh, and then I lost wizard. I need to bring that back. Okay. So we've got some duplication here, but I think that's okay. So in this case, wizard or muggle, a radio button is this little circle. And let me point out two things. It's an input field, just like a text input field. Another option is to have a checkbox, right? So wizard could be a checkbox, and I need to fix my style. So what I'm going to do is say input type equals radio or input type equals checkbox. All right, so we could do checkbox, but let me point out the difference between checkbox and radio button. With a, oops, I just changed that one and didn't have that. Okay, so now we have two checkboxes, right? Oh, I'm on the wrong page. I'm on the character page, which was kind of a mock-up. Checkbox. Okay. There we go. So now we've got wizard and muggle checkbox. We can check them both. We don't want that to happen. We only want them to choose one or the other. So gender, we use a drop-down, male or female. Well, if we use a radio box, and we could use a drop-down, a select for wizard and muggle too, but I wanted to illustrate both. Now, when I use a radio button, it selects one or the other, but only on the condition that they have the same name, so character status. That's the one trick, that you have to have the same name for both radio type input fields, and then HTML will choose one or the other instead of both, like it did for checkbox. And then for gender, we need to change that to, are you male or female? All right. So now we've got our application. We go through here and we're going to run into some trouble, right? So if we try.
So one question from my side, Aaron, do we have no other approach when we are setting the checkboxes that it should select only one?
With checkboxes, it can be done with JavaScript.
Okay.
But HTML by default does not
allow us to do that.
Now I would agree that checkboxes look prettier than radio buttons, and it's more obvious what you're going to do, right? We could try and implement that. All right, so look, this is broken. Now our acceptance form.
Yeah.
So, and the reason is because we changed everything from character to, or from player, name, and gender and age to character. So let's go ahead and we're going to fix that. And we're also going to make this a little clearer. Now you see it gets the first one called character name and character gender, and it's not getting character status, wizard or muggle. So let's add character status, and then we'll drop into our JavaScript console to debug this and make sure we've got this. And we've got to get the first one value, right? And we don't have that. Well, let's leave that in a comment there. So we're going to comment log name, age, gender, and we're going to set the cookie. And let's also do the same thing for status. Oh, we go through here. We can fill this form out. Oh, that's because our acceptance pay. So this is getting player name, player gender, right? Well, let's go through. Let's use our handy dandy search and replace. We want player underscore to be replaced with character underscore. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Save that, and then when we refresh that, we've got Dear Miss Granger. Okay, so that's good. What we're going to do is we're going to actually clean this up quite a bit. We're going to move all of this stuff off the application page, except for we're going to use local storage to just save items on the application page. And then we will add a page in between acceptance, which is going to say you're a wizard or you're a witch. You send your application and the owl flares off. Those things that were appearing in the alert boxes, right? You're a wizard or you're a witch. So send application. First, we want to make sure we're getting everything. So we'll close that window down and we will. All right, we'll go back to the apply page. Now, we'll change this. We'll try Harry Potter. You know who hasn't gotten any love yet? Ron Weasley. And Ron is a male. And he's 11 too. Update character is not defined. Okay, that's because we didn't write that function. So update character. Remember, we added that event on here. We'll start off with updating character. A little dot, dot, dot. So now what we do is we've got this going. We enter our name, Ron Weasley. Updating character. and then male, updating character, 11, updating character, wizard. Now, here's an interesting thing. It didn't do updating character for wizard. Oh, I just don't have the event. So we can just add update character here. All right, so now we go through updating character, male, 11, updating character, changing now. Okay, now for updating character, we want to do just more than print update character. What we want to do is we want to save it. So the first thing we need to do is pass in the element that we're updating. So for the name, we're going to pass in this. This is a JavaScript keyword which will tell us what the thing is that we're currently working on. So let's just add this to the mix here in our console log and see what happens. So we put Ron Weasley. This is window. All right, so I'm going to do a quick search. Pass element with event on click. Or let's pass element clicked with on click. Interesting. So data and then this. So this should be the element, right? Oh, I'm not passing it in here. Okay, so I'm passing this to the function and then I'm calling it here. Okay, that's a little better. All right, we'll try this again. Update the name. Update character is not defined on apply 87. Looks good to me. Character name on change, update character. This is the parameter. In case I've got a typo, which I don't think I do. It says on line 88, update character is not defined. No, I'm baffled.
In the bottom, we have not used any this as a variable. Do we have to use that?
So this is a keyword that means the active scope. This inside of a function should be that function. This inside of event should be the element being passed for the event. So everything looks right. It's update character is not defined at HTML input element on change. it's like the function is not defined. But when we remove this, it was working, right? It doesn't like my function. Let's see. Yeah, it's not detecting my function update character. Is it finding send application? I'm guessing we've got a parse error. Yeah, something's not parsing in my JavaScript, which is causing my JavaScript to not compile. Here. Oh, I'm missing a closing bracket, that's all. Oh, no, it's not that I'm missing a closing bracket, it's that I put one function inside. No, I'm not. I thought I was missing a closing bracket here, but I'm not. This one's matching this one. This one's matching that one. Oh, probably what I need to do is change that from this. Let's see what happens now. Updating character undefined. Okay, well, that's a start. Now we can go back here to our function. We can pass this in here. So this is another naming issue because this means the current scope. By changing this to the current scope, it means that, or rather passing the previous scope, by calling it this, it's overriding this inside the function, which refers to the function scope. At least I think that's what was happening. Okay, so now we've got updating character, and we see we've got updating character input name. Great. Okay, so now what we can do is we know the element we want to put, so we can console log. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add an ID tag. Now name tags aren't necessarily unique, but ID tags are. And let me show why I'm doing this. It has to do with that radio button for wizard or muggle. The name tag is unique. So I could say, give me the first one or the last one. But I'm just going to give it unique values here. So I'm going to go ahead and add ID to each of our input elements. And then character status, muggle. So now we have a unique way of identifying the wizard radio button or the muggle radio button. That's the main reason for adding this. It's also a good practice in general, although there is some duplication here, right? Because ID tags weren't originally in the spec, in the HTML spec. And so you would pass a form with a bunch of elements to the server, and the elements would be identified by their name attribute. And we'll do the same thing here with the options. Gender, male. ID equals character, gender, female. All right, so let's go ahead and try this out. The character name. Now, before the gender, the age, and the muggle, we're still not passing in this. So we just need to do update character this. And then update character this. Update character this. bring up that extra tab character. Now, for each item we enter, right, if we put Dudley Dursley in here, it says updating character, character name, and it doesn't tell me the value, but, well, he's male. It's 11, but he's a muggle. And Dudley got accepted to TestWizardry at Hogwarts Academy. So we need to fix a few things here. We need to fix adding that muggles are not admitted. And then we also need to, we're going to change using cookies to using local storage. And we need to get the values. So back to update character. We're passing in the element, but we also want to get the value. So we're going to print the element and then we're going to print the value. So we go in here to the name, we select Dudley Dursley, and it prints both the input and the value, or the element and the value. So let's go ahead and add these as variables. So let's say let let key equals element dot What I want to do is I'm using a generic function rather than getting each individual element. I want to be able to tell. Oh, I know what I want. I want element get element attributes. Okay, I'm going to search HTML get attribute key and or get attribute yeah, name and value from field. Yeah, I thought it was get attribute. Oh, well, it's element, not elem. So I'm getting the name and then let the value equals element dot get value. Or not get value, just value. Now we can say updating character, we'll do element and then key and then value. So let's go ahead and run this through. See what happens. Fail to decode Lumos font. Okay, we don't care about that. Okay, so first we see the full element displayed, this input name equals character name, ID equals character name on change. So we've got character name, that's the key, and Ron Weasley is the value. Now what we want to do is we want to use local storage and set the item for the key and the value. All right. So we'll say saving to local storage, just to be explicit. And then what we want to do is local storage dot set item key and value. So this is going to replace all of our send application information except for our validation. We're not going to do the validation on this page. We're going to get the information on this page. We're going to send it, and then we're going to let Hogwarts deal with whether they accept or not this page. All right, so here we go. We'll do Hermione. So it's saving all these to local storage, and she's a wizard. All right, now we've got all these in local storage. Let's go ahead and peek at our local storage. So we're going to go to settings, advanced, All right, I forgot how to do this already.
I think it should be under system.
Thanks. You've done this more recently than me, huh? This is where you showed me how to do the cookies the other day, right? Nope. Here, let's just all right. View and edit local storage with Chrome DevTools. Oh, I'm looking in the wrong spot.
And I understood. So in the console itself, application, you're right.
Yeah, application. And then, okay, so we've got the cookies.
The local stage.
And we have all these cookies that were set when we first ran. So it looks our cookie is Dudley Dursley. But now for local storage, what do we have here? It has Hermione Granger, 11, wizard. Now what we're going to do is we're going to actually go to that character page without navigating from anything else. So we're going to bring up character. And this is something maybe they'll edit in play. They won't be editing their name and their age and all that, but they will be editing items that they purchase in Diagon Alley, or perhaps things that happen to them while they're in school. So let's go ahead and open the character page. And this doesn't have any context. So the character page will also bring up our DevTools. So we have all this stuff in local storage in DevTools, but it's not populated in the form. So now on the character page, we're just going to say body. And in this case, we're just going to do on load equals. So this is like on click or on change or on mouse over or on mouse out. We're going to get character info. And we're going to create a function. And we'll start off by just writing to the console log. The info we get. All right, so there's our first step. It should come up and it should be in our console log. Getting character info, great. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to populate all these fields with the values we got. Oh, and we've got check marks here instead of radios because I was on the wrong page. So first thing I'm going to do is change those back to radios. I don't know where radio button comes from. Maybe because you click a dial on an actual physical radio where you listen to music. But the ways of UI designers is mysterious to me. All right, so we've got our fields. We've got our get character info. Now we can just do local storage dot, what is it? Is it get value? We'll hop back over to our documentation. Set item, get item, not get value, get item. And then we want to get character name. Let name equals. Let's go ahead and console log. Let's be consistent in our naming though. Character name. Name is an awfully vague term when naming variables on computers. All right, character name. All right, let's see. So we haven't done anything. We'll hop back over. All we're doing is refresh. Oh, and it because of live reload, it automatically refreshes, and it's not displaying it, but it's getting the character name Hermione Granger. So I can actually go back over here to there we go. We can close that documentation window down. And our settings, okay. Oops. All right, so we go to our apply page. We can actually change this to, Jenny Weasley. And so we save to local storage here on the apply page. We're going to switch back over to the character page. I'm just going to hit refresh on here. and the character name is Jenny Weasley. Local storage saves it between different browsers. It stores it in a more or less permanent. I think there's a limit for local storage, but it's saved on my computer. I can close the browser down and open it back up, or as you can see, I can go from one browser to another, and it's there just by changing that. And I didn't even send my application, you might notice. So the send application button becomes superfluous at this point. Although what we actually want to do is we want to send it to the server at that point. But now that it's in local storage, if we accidentally close that and we go back to our apply page, well, it's going to already be saved in the local storage so that we can continue. We could, on the apply page, pre-populate just like we're doing on the character page. Let's see, more application, local storage, okay. And of course, Jenny is only 10 when Hermione's 11, and she wouldn't be admitted to Hogwarts, but we'll get to that point. All right, so next thing we're doing is we're going to get the rest of the information, right? So we're getting the character information. We want to not just get the name, we want to get their age, their status, and their gender. Oops, well, we'll just do status up here. So you can see here, as was hinted, local storage is a lot simpler and a lot more flexible than cookies. All right, so we load our character and, oh, we're just not printing the other ones. Let's print them all out and make sure we're getting all the correct information. I'll be consistent in my details here in a bit. So we've got character age and character gender. All right, Jenny Weasley, female, 11, wizard. We'll just assume this is okay because Harry and Ron and Hermione are going to be second year. All right, so we're getting the information. Now we want to populate it in these fields. We then, what we can do is, let's actually grab the form from here because it has the ID tags. I'll just change it as we need to. Okay, so character name equals character name. We'll also do ID equals character dot name. Same thing with age. We're adding ID tags to each of these elements so that it's going to be easier to reference them. Got some quotes funds, okay, and then character status, muggle. I'll muddle through typing this. All right, I think I've got them all right. Let me know if I mistype something. Okay, now I can do document get element by ID, and I can say character name, and I can say value. So we're doing character info on load. So you can see it populated Jenny Weasley. We can do the same thing with all the other fields. And I'm going to order these consistently just so it doesn't drive me wild. All right. Just making sure I don't have any typos. Let's go see. Okay, so everything's populated except for this one. Because what we need to do is we need to specify that this is checked or not. So what we want to do is if character status equals wizard, or wait, if character status dot value equals wizard, then we want to do document character status wizard checked is true. Else wizard muggle all right. Still doesn't like that. Can't get property checked. Okay. Let's ask for help. HTML, all right. JavaScript set radio checked by ID. Document get element by ID checked equals true. I must have a typo here in the element ID. So what I'm going to do is going to get back over to my window. If I can type on my keyboard, I'm going to go to my elements list and I'm going to Control or Command F to search for my element. ID equals character status wizard. That looks good to me. I actually don't want these values here though. All right, so I'm going to go to my console and I'm going to try to duplicate my steps. Document, get element by ID. It's this one here. Checked equals true. Well, that sure looks like exactly what I typed. Let's see. Let's try this one more time. Oh. I wonder if, what does it say my status is? I think I might have a space in there. Let's, I bet there's a space in my wizard in my status. So let's go back over here to this one. No, there's no space. Oh, I'm not getting a field value. It's just a variable. All right. So I hop back over here and it is checked. So now I can go back over here to what is your name? I can go to Hermione Granger, female. She's 12 this year and she's a wizard. You're too old to apply to Hogwarts. Okay. But we go back over here and we refresh this page. It has Hermione Granger, 12, female, wizard. All right. That looks like a pretty good start to that. What we still need to do, though, is implement the next section here. And what we need to do is remove all this stuff from the apply page to the acceptance, or to the page in between apply and accept or reject. So I think we'll save that for tomorrow to do, so that we can end on time today. I know Thursday lesson was extra long, and it had trouble uploading because of that, I think. All right, so let's go ahead and save what we've got. We'll kill the server. We'll get add dot. I don't know if I added any files. Get commit -a. Let's see whatever we got. Okay, so we do have the character file. That's right. So we modified the accepted, we modified the apply, and we modified our style sheet. Some of that happened behind the scenes that you didn't see before today, on Friday or Saturday, where I created that character page and changed some styles. So let's go ahead and change from using cookies to local storage. Application, now it's highlighting in red just to let me know that it's not on the first one. Process, refactor, still in progress. And I'm going to push this to my server, and it will automatically deploy on Netlify. Let's go ahead and go to TestWizardry.netlify.app. And let's also make sure that we the game. All right. Change from using cookies to local storage. Okay, we'll apply. And we'll test this out. Saving to local storage. We've got all the stuff we need here. Wizard. All right. It works, and we can also go to the character page and see what we've entered. Oops, typo there. All right. Yep, and it populates everything in our character page correctly on our public website. Okay, I don't really have any time for questions today, but feel free to email me or send anything in the Slack channel. But thank you for your participation, and we'll see you later.
Yeah, thanks, Varun. Thanks for your time.
All right, bye.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.